Happy Wednesday night and welcome to A Look on the Plus Side. This is the show where we go deep into the Disney Plus or the Hulu Plus catalog and we find a movie or a TV show and we talk about it. Tonight we're talking about the very first Tinkerbell movie, simply called Tinkerbell. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. It's called the Park Adventurers Club. And also, if you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up as it helps people to find us tonight. This is the Tinker we're talking to. It's Stephanie. How are you?
Doing great. How are you, Rob?
I'm good. I got to tell you, when this movie first came out, I remember thinking, really, Tinker? This is how she got her name? Really, this is the thing? So I'm sure, I'm sure we'll talk about that. I actually have wanted to talk about this for a while because the Disney Fairies was no, stop it. Stop making fun of me. Before we started the show, Stephanie was going, I can't imagine you watch this, Rob, a grown man sitting there watching. She was like, I watched it with my 2-year-old. And I was like, I don't need an excuse for Disney. I had so many clamshells before I had kids. I used to go buy toys all the time. I have no shame when it comes to all this stuff. I'm a proud Disney person. Anyways, so but growing up, my daughter liked these movies. I will give it to that. So but there were so many of them, and I thought we should definitely talk about it. Why not start at the beginning? And this is one of those, direct-to-video things. So when I reached out and I said, hey, do you want to talk about this one? You were like, yeah, I guess I could do that. Why were you hesitant, and what's your history with the fairy movies?
Oh, well, I have 4 daughters, so I've watched them from, I don't know, almost 10 years now, I guess. But yes, I like Tinkerbell. I like her iteration. I think personally I like her more in the version that she's in the original Peter Pan. But I like what they've done with her in these movies as well. I think they tried to expand her character and give her a backstory, obviously. And it works. It does work.
Yeah, I guess that's the weird thing about this is, okay, so let's start at the beginning. So Peter Pan, J.M. Barrie, I actually have this book that my wife lent me that she bought when she was in London. So J.M. Barrie wrote Peter Pan and Wendy. As I'm reading through this book, there's I feel like maybe, and I don't read. I think we've talked about this. That's why I do movies, because I don't read. As I'm looking through this, I'm like, wait a minute. It looks like Tinkerbell talks in this.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
so whether it's just that Peter understands her where no one else does, that kind of throws me, because in the movie that we all know, the original Disney animated film of Peter Pan, Tink is just a series of bells, and so that would make sense as to why she was a Tinkerbell, because she made the sound that a Tinkerbell would. Maybe
Well,
you feel differently. What am I missing there?
no, I think you're right in the sense that humans cannot understand her. She's speaking a language, but it's the fairy language. So whether or not Peter's a fairy, I don't know. Or is
Hmm.
he just understanding, he's been around long enough that he understands the fairy language and the other humans like the Lost Boys and Wendy and her brothers don't understand her. But even Captain Hook, he can understand her pantomimes.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, when she's mad, you know it. I mean,
Hmm.
you
Yes.
get it. So this movie was an origin story for Tinkerbell outside of the world of Peter Pan, outside of the written word of J.M. Barrie. So this is Disney going rogue, basically, right? Because the history of Pixie Hollow is something that they sort of created
A
um,
little bit. Yes. I mean,
outside
they
of this.
definitely they created all of her friends like you're saying, but the actual name, like you're asking why was she named Tinker? It was because of Barry. Barry named her Tinker and he intended it for her to be a fixer of pots and kettles. So that's exactly what they say in the movie, it kind of as a negative. And she's like, I don't just want to fix pots and kettles. But
Yeah,
that's what it was.
we definitely need to talk about that, because there's a lot going on with that one.
Right.
So I actually have the DVD of the original. Look how pretty.
Ooh,
Look how sparkly.
it is shiny.
Yeah. So my daughter was really into these movies, and she was into Barbie movies. So
Yes. Have all the Barbie movies.
yes, exactly. That was a big thing. So Disney Toon Studios did this. I don't know, Stephanie. Do you think people know or care the difference between Walt Disney Animation, Pixar Animation, Disney Toon Studios? Do you think people know or care about the difference?
No, I don't. I think that they all just are under the Disney name, the umbrella, and that's what they think. Now, you can definitely tell the ones that are direct to DVD or direct to television have a little bit different quality to them. We talked about that on the Jungle Book. The Jungle Book 2, was the animation wasn't quite as nice as the first one, but I don't think anybody really pays attention to where that originated.
Yeah. So but when John Lasseter, you remember John Lasseter, right?
Remember John Lasseter?
John, you did us wrong. You did us all wrong. By being wrong, you did us all wrong, because I felt like John Lasseter probably would have been heir to the empire at some point, to be the
100%.
one in charge. He had a very Michael Eisner, Walt Disney kind of a vibe
Yep.
in public anyway.
Yep.
And so I definitely feel like there was some kind of a vibe with him that he could have been the head of this, of the Walt Disney Company. He was obviously the head of Pixar. And then when they did that merger deal, that they brought Pixar into the company. It wasn't just a buyout; it was a merger of the companies. He became like the head of animation, and he divided everything up into three different studios. There was Pixar, and Pixar is going to still do what Pixar is going to do. And there was Walt Disney Feature Animation, which is the stuff we talked about. That's the quality stuff. That's the stuff we're going to spend years on, whether it's hand drawn
To
or
the
computer
theater.
animated. And then there's
Mhm.
the Disney Toon Studios, which started in 1990, with the Treasures of the Lost Lamp. The DuckTales movie was the very first thing
Oh,
that they ever did. And then they ended in 2015, and the last thing they did was the Tinkerbell movie. Not this one, but another one.
oh,
So,
the
so
Never
from
Beast.
exactly. So from 1990 to 2015, they existed, and they made things like Planes, Fire and Rescue.
Uh-huh.
They also made a Goofy movie, which I think a lot of people see a Goofy movie as that's just a Disney movie, and it's
Yes.
not considered one of the 65 full length animated
Wow.
features, or however many there are. There are a lot. Um,
Mhm.
I used to remember the number exactly, but I think like Encanto might have been 65.
Okay.
But anyway, they had, all of those are the full length animated features, and it's weird what counts. Like over the years, I think they've kind of tweaked that list. Like at one point, Victory Through Air Power, which was a propaganda movie they did for the war, was
World.
included in that. And
Wow.
but
Okay.
like the amalgam movies where they took shorts during the war when they didn't have money to do a full length, and they shoved them together, like Make My Music, Fun and Fancy Free, Mr. Toad and Ichabod. Those are the movies. Those all count as full length animated features. Even the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh in the 70s was an amalgam of like three different Winnie the Pooh
Sure.
stories, I
Hmm.
believe.
Yep.
So, those are the ones that are considered those Disney full length animated features. But the Disney Toon Studios, which had a couple different names over time, is the one that made Tinkerbell. And then from there, they made their own label. It was called the Disney Fairies. And
Yes.
so let me ask you this too. Let me roll back to one other thing before we really get down into this is I feel like at some points Tink was treated as a princess in the merchandising realm, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Alice a little too, because it was one of these things. Here's a thing that is for girls that we can market with the rest of this stuff. And so I feel like
Hmm.
Tink was one of those things that maybe Bibbidi Bobbidi, or maybe that
Yes.
they kind of rolled together. And I think it was one of those things where eventually they went, no, she's not a princess. That doesn't count.
Right.
She's not there. Especially after we added the fairies. Now she's in another category, right? But do you feel
Hmm.
like there was a time where she kind of was lumped in with the princesses?
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like she probably still is at Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. I'll tell you in a few weeks when I take my daughters there. But I do think that they considered her a fairy princess initially, and this was back with the marketing geniuses that came up with the princesses, the Disney princesses. And even though they existed in their own worlds and in their own realms, they pushed them all together and they all had their own color. And Tinkerbell's color was green, and nobody else had a green dress. Technically Ariel has the green dress, but whatever. They don't push that in the princess packaging. So until Tiana came along, Tinkerbell was that fairy princess that they had in the marketing there.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I always thought that too, especially when they did like the babies, the stuffed ones in the blankets
Yes.
or things like that.
Hmm.
They were always kind of thrown together, just like Stitch is kind of thrown in with the Fab Five slash I guess seven at
Right.
that point because it's like
Hmm.
plus Daisy plus Stitch in the marketing. So I think that
That's
Tink's
true.
one of those they didn't really know what to do with, but she has been sort of the icon for Disney and Disney Magic and Disney parks. And like I have this
Absolutely.
shirt on, which is actually from D23 because I didn't have much Tink merchandise. I'm like, there's Tink, there it
There
is
she
right
is.
there. I'm representing. And
Yes.
so, we see her fly. Like, I mean, so I love the lore of Tinkerbell in the Peter
Hmm.
Pan realm and in the parks because that one, even in the parks, feels like it's separate from everything else. When Enchantment, the very first time I saw it, had Tink flying in it still, I was like, yes. Like, I was so excited. And then in Happily, it's the best when,
Oh, I
the you
cry
can
every
fly,
time.
you can fly. Yeah,
Every time.
exactly. Exactly. So, I mean,
Without
she
fail.
is she is an icon for Disney, Disney Magic, Disney Parks,
Yes.
all of those things. So it means a lot to take good care of her when it comes to the
Hmm.
storytelling, I feel like, and giving her her own spin was definitely a good thing to do. And we'll talk about in this one with the movie whether they achieved their objective and whether it still holds in this far down the road. So let's talk about the movie itself. Let's hit the stat board that I put together about Tinkerbell. So the runtime is an hour and 18 minutes, which every time I see a shorter movie like this, I go, "Whew, we picked a good one." The release date was October 28th, 2008. Now, it was released direct to home video, but it did also have a box office release abroad. So
Wow.
it does have a $9.2 million box office take. Rated G, and the budget was $50 million, which seems crazy to me, especially for a
Hmm.
Toon Disney or a Disney Toon Studios joint. But again, Disney Toon Studios, I was always very particular about things like knowing which movie was which and which ones went into which category. I know it's just talking about that, but to put a bow on that conversation, like there are movies like Valiant that came out that had the Disney name
Hmm.
on it. That was just a movie that they distributed. That was not like one
Oh,
that they created at Toon Disney. Same thing with Nomeo and Juliet. That was the same category. Same
that's
thing with The
true.
Wild. Those movies are Disney
Hmm.
movies, but they weren't they weren't made by Disney. And so
Right.
they just put their names on it. So again, to the average Joe who just wants to watch a movie and doesn't really care, Rob, shut up, about what's what, none of this stuff really matters as to what's what. And I've seen game shows where they're like, here's a list of movies. Tell us which one isn't a Pixar movie. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Shrek's in there. How can you not
Wow.
how can you not know that? But I guess again, in our bubble, we
Hmm.
all have that kind of stuff. So I honestly like pay a lot of attention to that, and so I feel like Disney Toon Studios put out some good work. They did a lot to, as we talked about, the direct to home video stuff. But this one was a little bit different because I feel like it wasn't that Saturday morning cartoon animation. This was them getting into
No.
computer generated animation,
Hmm.
and I feel like if we talk about animation right off the top, it's a beautiful movie. I feel like
Yes.
the backgrounds, the textures, all of that
Hmm.
feel like they're just really well done. Especially some
Yeah.
of like the sweeping animation that was that happens as we go through. I mean, it's really again top notch. I feel like. Um,
Hmm.
so as I'm watching this, I mean, like here's inside the bedroom of the baby. I think that the background animation, the shadowing, all that stuff is amazing. I think that the fairy
Hmm.
is not so great.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, talk to me about your thoughts on the animation.
Well, you mentioned Shrek, and I remember watching the very first Shrek in the theater and thinking how detailed it was. Just the fabric, his clothing, you could see the individual weaving of the fabric there. And now I look back at that and I think, how could I think that? Because that just looks terrible. But this is the same kind of animation. I feel like it was probably around the same time. I'm not sure. And I remember and watching this Tinkerbell movie back, same kind of feelings. Like you look at the leaves individually on her dress, you look at some of the animation of the hair, and it does get better. I mean, the separate movies that come after this, obviously they get more technologically advanced. But yes, I do feel like it was one of the first maybe animated animations. Can I say that? Computer animations versus a hand-drawn type of cells. So I think I think it was probably one of the more advanced things that they did. Maybe that's why it cost 50 million back in 2008.
Yeah, honestly, I was looking for some reference because I feel like that we mentioned the Barbie movies. I feel like the
Right.
Barbie movie animation was about the same time and about the same quality. Honestly, I feel like when I'm watching this movie, again, the textures, the flowers up close, the wind, the again, the sweeping cameras, all of that stuff is amazing. And I think again, could have been studio released to theaters quality. I think it was Care Bear was just in chat that said creepy baby, was it? Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it was Care Bear. It said creepy baby, that baby that I showed. Yeah,
Yeah.
and again, we're talking about
Looks
2008.
one dimensional.
We're not talking about 1995 when Toy Story came out. We're talking about
Right.
years later when a lot of animation has happened. But again, we're
Hmm.
talking about a lower budget and a smaller studio. So we're not. This isn't Pixar making these movies. This isn't Disney, feature animation making these movies. But it's Disney still, so it feels like they should be held to a standard. But again, that's just I'm surprised you didn't think the same thing. But when I see the fairies, sometimes even Tink's mouth doesn't match up to the audio directly. A little bit, it's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit off in the way she holds her mouth, and I'm thinking they were probably like, straight to video. We're fine because if you compare
Yeah.
it to something else like the Cinderella straight to videos, this is
Right.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But I think in comparison to like some of the other stuff that was happening, I just feel like that's the case. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I think I'm letting my favorite versions of these movies are the Great Fairy Rescue and the Pirate Fairy. Those are my two favorite one of these videos and movies. And so I think I'm maybe letting that cloud my judgment of this first film a little bit because they do get better. I mean, they do. Like you go through it, you see their personality come out more, and you see the animation quality gets better. So
Yeah.
I can see what you're saying about the first one.
I'm looking in the chat. First of all, Care Bear was like, "Are we live? We're really live? Okay, cool, we're live." But Ronald said, like Rob said, Tink is iconic along with Peter, Hook, etc. Yeah, I mean, and again,
Absolutely.
interwoven not only into our lives through the movie, but through the parks because they just have leaned on them
Yes.
so much. And you and I have talked about the things they leave out, the
Yes.
Dalmatians, things like that. But they've sure like even like the music and things like that are all woven into what they do. And when have you not had a 9 hour wait to get into Peter Pan, right? In either park, like it's
Exactly.
always the longest. Like does not
The longest.
matter. Doesn't matter what time of day, what time of year. The Peter Pan attraction at both parks is always the longest line in Fantasyland,
100%.
guaranteed. Yeah.
Absolutely. Rope drop or
Um,
none. Our very
Rope
last thing
drop
of the day.
or lightning lane.
Lightning
Got
lane.
to pony up that lightning lane. So the next thing is about this movie. So again, that's sort of again touching on the animation part of it. I think it's beautiful, but at the same time, I was surprised that I was like, I don't think the fairies are great, and it feels like the Barbie movie, and then the mouth. But again, the textures like of the marigolds at the
Yes.
beginning and things like that, I'm just like,
Hmm.
that is amazing. And then to further that along, the throws in the first couple minutes to the original Peter Pan
Right.
like are amazing between the again the sweeping through of London, and we're seeing like we see the Darling's house and we see like Big Ben and Tower of London and then we see that pirate ship. I'm just trying
It
to make
hits the
sure that
bell.
YouTube doesn't yeah the pirate ship and it hits the bell again. We're just a little bit
On the
too in your
nose.
face about the bell. But again, that animation for the bell and the ocean is like look at
Hmm.
the ocean. I
It's
mean, it's
great. The
yeah,
water.
it's really well done
Hmm.
and seeing the like the city
Hmm.
in the background and everything. And then we go and we pan up and we see the two stars and the second star to the right and your heart you're like, "Ah,
Yep.
it's happening. It's the thing. It's the thing. There it is."
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's right.
Um so and that's just in the first like 2 minutes before we were introduced to the title of it. So I think that's really well done the way they put that together and they give it like, okay, we're in the world of Peter Pan, and then they're like, but hold my beer. It's not about Peter Pan. Like it's just
Exactly.
like you see even this like sweep down of Neverland where the like the
Hmm.
the dandelion seed, I guess, comes down through
Yeah.
Neverland. And so that's then we're in Pixie Hollow, and there's a new ceremony to welcome the new fairy. And then we hear Tink do something that we've never heard her do before, is speak. She hasn't
Yes.
spoken before. And I think there was even a time in the parks, and you tell me if I'm right on this, where you
Mhm.
wouldn't get a meet and greet with Tink because Tink was like supposed to be small.
Right. So I can tell you for a personal experience of mine. When I was working there, and of course I was in entertainment, we did a private event, and I was very good friends with Mr. Smee. And so when the private event, when we were at the Contemporary, and they would come to one of the ballrooms and meet with Mr. Smee and meet with Captain Hook, and then they would get on a boat and they would go out and watch the fireworks. And as they came back into the dock, there would be Peter Pan, but Tinkerbell would be in the lantern and he would hold her in the lantern. So yes, there were some times when that happens.
And they've tried to do some weird meet and greet stuff with, like, having Tink in the lantern when you go to meet her.
Right.
But she was in the Disneyland parade. And so, I mean, you got to see her in the parade, but you wouldn't actually get to meet her until the genius of Pixie Hollow at Disneyland. And we'll
Right.
talk about that later. But I was going to say, we got to hear Tink do something that we've never heard her do before, really, which is to talk. And that was like, okay, what's Tinkerbell gonna sound like? Because she doesn't give off the jingles. She just actually has a voice, and she's a little bit sassy and very well, um, uh, I guess, cast as Mae Whitman. But do you know who was originally cast in this role? You probably do.
No, who was originally cast?
Brittany Murphy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in my research, as we take a look on the plus side, I try to look into everything. Apparently, she had been a finalist for Mia in the Princess Diaries. Didn't get that,
Oh,
and then she was
wow.
cast in the voice of Tinkerbell, and then was separated from the project, is all it says. It doesn't say why. And then she passed away a
Okay.
year later. So I don't think it had anything to do with that. But sadly, she passed away at a very young age. But she was originally cast, and I thought I could totally see that. But now I
Mhm.
feel like I'm almost like militant about it has to be Mae Whitman anytime I hear Tinkerbell anywhere. It's like it has to be Mae Whitman. Or if I see Mae Whitman, I'm like, why aren't you Tinkerbell right now? Like, I
Really?
feel
Because
like
when I hear it, I think her.
really, really, you don't like it. You don't
Oh,
like
for
it.
Arrested Development, they would always say
Oh,
her.
okay.
This is your
Oh,
girlfriend. Her?
right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Mae Whitman's role
No,
as
she does great.
George Michael's girlfriend. Yes, I remember that very
Yes,
well.
yes. I love Mae Whitman. I watched her in what was the family show on NBC? I loved her role in that too. And but yes,
Was
I
it
mean
Parenthood?
she's done Parenthood, loved Parenthood. So
Yeah.
yes, there are multiple things that I've liked her in. This one, I think she does a fabulous job. Because I don't think whenever you listen to her, there are certain voices that you like. Chris Rock, you vision Chris Rock. You don't see the character, you just see his face. But with her, you don't really necessarily see her face. You see Tinkerbell.
Well, I mean, now that yeah, I definitely think there's an advantage to it not being a known person that's playing the voices. And if you think about Ray Romano in Ice Age, or
Exactly, Ray
yeah,
Romano.
or the worst one, Seinfeld and Ants,
Right,
or the B movie, the B
exactly.
movie, the
The
B
B
movie. It
movie,
was
yes,
the
the
B
B
movie.
movie.
Yeah, sorry, I
That
had
was
to correct
Woody,
that one.
not Woody. Yeah, Woody Allen and Ants, wasn't it?
Yeah. So let's talk about the cast a little bit for this one. So it's Mae Whitman as Tinkerbell, Kristen Chenoweth, and again, these did not last all the way
Uh,
through the through the fairies stories. Some of them were
no,
recast later.
but
But
Megan, her recasting of
Hilty,
Rosetta, she was great. Megan
yeah,
Hilty, I love Megan Hilty. She did a great
yeah,
job. It sounded very similar.
and she is very similar. I think she's followed the same
Hmm.
path on Broadway, etc. Like she's currently
Yep.
doing. I think I read she's currently in that Death Becomes
Death
Her
becomes
on
her. I was just
Broadway.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Did you see it?
Not at the show. She's not in the show right now because she's sick with like a laryngitis thing. But yeah, I was just
Gotcha.
in New York.
Well, again, it's very of the time. It was 2008 that this was released, as we said at the top of the show, and it's Mae Whitman, Kristen Chenoweth, Raven Simone, Lucy Liu, America Ferrera, and then like looking down the list and getting a little bit deeper into it, Angelica Houston, and
Yes.
also Kathy Najimy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like the cast is
All
pretty
great.
amazing for a direct to video situation. I feel like, but
Mm-hmm.
now we know where the $50 million went. It went into
I
background
guess.
animation and voice cast. That's what it went into.
Exactly.
Yeah. So and veteran voice actors Jeff Bennett and Rob Paulson were also in this one as Clank and Bobble, which is great. And then Jesse McCartney. Are you familiar with him?
I seem to remember some Jesse McCartney, but it's
He
not.
had a
I
song
don't
called
watch a
Beautiful
lot.
Soul. He had a song called Beautiful
Yes,
Soul.
it was.
And so it's very like derivative. I don't, yeah. Anyway, I like the song. I like the song, but it's like it's a little on the nose. But anyway, Jesse McCartney, I feel like he could have broken out into something bigger than he did. He felt like a Justin Bieber type. Only he had
Yeah.
like he was a writer and a performer, and he still tours around, I think. But he was a voice of Terrence, who was the pixie
Hmm.
dust fairy.
Yes.
So
He has a
they
bigger
they
role in the other movie, the
right
Lost
right
Treasure
right right.
movie.
Yeah. Okay. All right. If you want to review all six of them, we'll review all six of them. Just not tonight. Give me some time to catch up, Stephanie, because you're definitely ahead of the curve on that one. So let's talk about this because I like to get in the weeds when we talk about this stuff. Is when they first. So apparently, according to like the lore, a child's laugh
Yes.
creates the fairy,
Baby's laughter.
and
First
yeah,
laughed. Hmm.
yeah. So a baby's first laugh mixed with somehow a dandelion seed.
Yeah, that
I
was
don't.
odd to me. And it was
Is
in the
it?
middle of winter, so I'm not sure
Is it
if
like?
that's
Is it
really
always a
true.
dandelion seed? I don't know.
Never.
Um,
I've
but
never heard
maybe
that.
yeah. Maybe that's just to make tinkers. Maybe that's all they need to do.
I don't know.
But anyway, so all of the fairies gather because they know that this new fairy is coming, and they bring in the seed and they drop it down. And as soon as they drop it down, they put a cup. So it's one giggle, one dandelion seed, and one cup of pixie dust equals new fairy.
Yes, and new fairy at whatever age, like 20?
Yes,
I
that's
knew you were going
exactly
to say that.
exactly where I'm going. I mean, Patrick gets on me about rules and things like that, but it's like, it's like she's just born and she knows how to talk and she knows. And
Hmm.
again, it's like Rob, it's a fairy, it's magic. Get over it. No, no, I will not. She's exactly the same age as everyone there.
Hmm. Yep.
That's
Does it ever age? Does it ever have to learn? I mean, she kind of learns the ways, but she picks it up very quickly.
yeah. I mean, she has like 8 questions and then she's a full fledged fairy. But
Yep.
yeah. So, but again, she shows up and she's just that age. I agree with you. That was exactly where I was going with that. You knew that was going to be a thing that was going to drive me nuts.
Sticking
She
point,
just
yeah.
like, boom, she's the same age as everybody else, and she's there.
Hmm.
So that was definitely a thing. And she knows how to talk and walk. And there's like the only thing she has a little bit of trouble with is she has a little like a half step hiccup of flying. Fixes that
Yes.
immediately, and then after that, it's just learning, what her trade is, and so they immediately. Now that's the other thing too. It's like she's born, boom, and then they're like, "Hey, we're gonna figure out what you are immediately," which feels very dystopian. It feels like it feels like I've seen
Mm,
a bunch of movies where people are born and
yes.
labeled and said you are this job because you are born this
Right.
way, and it feels like
Hmm.
it feels a little icky.
Yeah. Yeah. You were put into a hole, like a peg into this hole, and you cannot change. This is exactly what you're going to be, and this is
Yeah.
how you're going to benefit our society. There you go.
Ooh, yeah, exactly. Also, the queen shows up,
Clarion.
and the
Hmm.
yes, You were on it tonight. You were like down in the details because you were ready for some trivia. Rosita hit me up beforehand and was like, "You're doing trivia
Oh
tonight, right?
no.
Let's do trivia tonight." So like you're like Queen Clarion. I got it. She's like right, voiced by Angelica Houston. But what I was gonna say, if I can, about Queen Clarion, is that she seems to be made of a different substance. She seems to be made of pure pixie dust because she
Right.
phases in and out differently than the rest of them do, and I don't understand
Yes.
that either. Like
I
she's
don't
not
know.
fully there. She's kind of like uh
They don't give much to her backstory. They obviously her wings are made of a different substance, like you're saying. Her dress is fully pixie dust. Her wings look like they're fully pixie dust compared to the other one's wings that have the, different circles and things, almost like fingerprints would. So I'm not sure about that, but in the Secret of the Wings movie, they do give a little brief drop to her background with the king of the winter woods, and they have a little romance back in the day. So she was, I guess, a real fairy at some point. And some point she became, the queen, and has this different appearance to her.
what age would you say this movie is geared toward?
I would say probably 5 to 10-year-old girls. That's what I would say.
Oops. No, no here's why I'm asking is that there's an overall theme here about this job
Mhm.
situation, this talent that she
Yes.
has that is so heavy-handed that I'm like,
Yes.
are you trying to create a moral to this story, a lesson, or is it something deeper? Because again, it is really heavy-handed. This whole thing about go ahead, pick your talent. It's almost like a Harry Potter, the wizard, the
Yes.
wand chooses
Sorting
the
hat.
wizard or the sorting
Yeah.
hat. Yeah, that kind of a
Hmm.
thing where it's like you don't really have a choice. You're going to be a Slytherin if you're a Slytherin, or you're going to
Hmm.
be, this is how this is going to be. You don't really have a choice in it. We're going to tell you where you're going to be, and that's just going to be where you are forever. But so they sit her down and they let her choose, but she doesn't really choose. She just fails, 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 and then she gets the one that's her. And she raises the hammer of
Yes.
Thor and says, "By the power of Grayskull," and she is now He-Man. And she, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
always the hammer. It's always the hammer.
It's always the hammer. I have a theory about this. My theory
Please,
is
please, please, please.
back in 2008, they were wanting more girls to get into STEAM. That is science, technology, engineering, and math. So, and arts and, that kind of thing comes in later. But STEM, STEAM, I think that they wanted more girls into those subjects. And here is a perfect example of how you can encourage girls, hey, engineering, finding lost things, putting them together, taking them apart, seeing how they work. It's actually quite fun. And Tinkerbell saves the day because she does this. And that, I think, is probably the moral lesson that you're getting at. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's a socialist message, but I think it's more that they wanted girls going into STEM.
Well, it is definitely heavy-handed, and she's embarrassed about what she has been chosen to do, and so she
Hmm.
tries to get out of it, and that's really the majority of the movie is her going, all right, getting introduced into the Tinkers. Which, by the way, why wasn't Fairy Mary, which I feel like I've
Mary.
heard somewhere else too, but why wasn't Fairy Mary right? Like, have we heard it somewhere else? Like, Googled it, but it only came back to this. But anyway, Fairy Mary was not at this like birthing ceremony that they had, and it feels like she should have been as
She
like
should
kind
have
of
been.
the lead representative of the Tinkers. So anyway, they introduce her to the village, and like so the whole time she looks as if she's like Lindsay Lohan's character in Mean Girls. Like she's like she doesn't want to be part of this group. She doesn't necessarily want
Hmm.
to be with the Mean Girls, but she doesn't want to be part of this group like, with Clank and Bobble. She's like, really? I'm one of you? Really? Before she
I
even
think
knows
it.
what Tinkers are, before she even knows she can't go to the mainland, she's like, I
Hmm.
guess I'll go with you guys, but you guys look like idiots, and so I guess I'll go with you. And then she goes with them, and then she's like, oh, look at this beautiful area. He's like, they're like, nah, it's this pit down here,
Yeah,
which
do
didn't
look
look
down
bad to
here.
me. But didn't look
No,
bad
it
to
looked
me. It looked like a
fun.
Smurf village, but at the same time, I'm like, what are you upset about? And she was just destined to be angry about it. You have something else to
Hmm.
say about it, though.
I think they weren't great representations that that should have been taking her through and showing her everything. But I think that's kind of the point of the story, because they're saying, don't fight your given talents. Like, go ahead and embrace that, embrace who you are, be yourself, and that will be the best course for you. So I think that, yes, at the very beginning, even, I mean, she was just born, right? And she gets this, and she goes into the house, and they have these outfits for her that are so huge, and she makes her own outfit. And that's where you get the classic, outline of the dress, and then the little fuzzy on the shoes and that kind of thing. So she was happy with her outfits and her home. And then the more she learned about what other fairies did, the more she wished she could do that.
Yeah. Well, but again, I feel like it was the mainland thing that set her off. She's like, I don't really
Oh, for
care
sure.
what I do. I just need to get off
Hmm.
of this rock. And that takes me to another point.
Okay.
Thank you for being here, Stephanie, and listening to my rants. But the other point is, how many movies, especially starting with, say, Little Mermaid
Hmm.
through Forever, is the heroine's main goal to be somewhere she's not?
Be somewhere
Right?
else.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be here. I'd rather be
Hmm.
somewhere else. I want to be where the
Moana.
people are. I want to see
Yes.
want to see them dancing. I
Hmm.
want to be in the war. I want to be
Hmm.
they all want to be somewhere else. I mean, I guess you
Hmm.
could all go back to Cinderella. She wanted to go to the ball, but she seemed to be okay where she was. She was just miserable. But she
Yes.
wasn't like, but
Hmm.
like they all want to be somewhere else, and that's the thing
Hmm.
with her too. It's like, I don't want to be a tinker. I do want to go to the mainland. I don't want to stay in Pixie Hollow. Like, and it's the Rapunzel. What again? Rapunzel's a bad example because she was just locked up as a prisoner in a tower. But you get what I'm saying,
Belle
right?
Belle wants to be in the Great Wide Somewhere. Hmm.
I Yes, she wants it more than she could tell. But I honestly, that entered my mind as well. So I mean, was that a message as well? Like you were talking about the STEM thing. Was this a message as well, that we don't ever be happy where you are, be somewhere else?
Maybe, but I think it's more about adventure. I think it's more about, I want to see her curiosity. She's always very curious. She's always picking up lost things, lost items, and going, what is this? What can I make with this? So maybe it's more about like her curiosity.
Okay, I mean, I guess I'll buy that. Um, Here's another thing that again bothers me sometimes about the consistency of movies, and keep in mind we're talking about a 2008 movie that you've already said is probably meant for 5 to 10 year olds, and also and also was straight to video. I'm still gonna. This is what we do. I'm still gonna pick at it here a little bit. So, yeah, the consistency of like, why does it seem like half of everybody here is Scottish, and then like she flew in from
American.
she flew in from England to a primarily Scottish voiced area, and
Yes.
she's got an American voice. Like, the inconsistencies there blow my mind. Like, I feel like
And
because of everything I learned from Star Wars is that everyone in space is British, but I also feel like there are some people who are not. And the irony that John Boyega pretended to be American when Daisy Ridley
right,
gets to
he's
be
actually
British.
yes,
Why?
exactly.
Why?
I
Why? Why? What are we
don't
doing?
know.
What are we doing? Anyway, so again, I like, there was some Scottish overtones. The music kind of felt like it had
Yes.
those vibes to it, and
Yes.
the and Mary and Clank, and even though Clank and what Bobble are
Bobble.
voiced by
Mhm.
American actors, they still put some kind of a weird Scrooge McDuck accent on it, and
Yes,
then
they do. Yes,
why?
Fairy Mary, and then the actually the keeper of the fairy dust in the other movies. He's also Scottish. So I don't know, other than maybe they wanted to appeal more to the American palate. We are all yeehaw and go get 'em cowboy kind of thing. So we don't like British actors. I don't know.
TSN 6899 says she flew in from the American Embassy from London. No,
True.
no. I do not accept that as law. That is fine. I don't know, but it's again, it's just weird. Like a lot of people made fun of Gladiator of Denzel Washington just being Denzel Washington, but this is something like you have voice actors and they had choices that they could make, and the fact that some of them are and some of them aren't is just weird because they were all
Right.
born there through magic, and
Right.
I don't know. It's just it's a thing. So, before we go any further, I want to thank everybody for coming and watching tonight. We love it when you guys join us on A Look on the Plus side. We've got some other cool stuff happening. We'll tell you about at the end, other shows, other content. Thank you for being a part of our Park Adventurers Club. If you haven't already, subscribe. And if you have, thank you for doing that. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. But most people know that when I stop and say that, that means I'm going to throw trivia at whoever my co-host is. So buckle up because you are
Woohoo!
you sound like you're already like the queen
Nope.
of Tinkerbell because you're like, I own, like, I have a bunch of daughters and I own all these videos.
Expectations.
Yeah. Right. Right. But good news is that Fire Chief said that he is here to take to keep track of the ones that you get right. So that is,
Yes.
I'm going to start out super easy. And I mean it, super easy, because this is going to be a walk in the park for you. I purposely didn't name any of the other movies. Name 3 other Tinkerbell movies.
Okay. So, The Secret of the Wings and the Lost Treasure and the Pirate Fairy, the Never Be no, the Legend of the Never Beast, I think. And
You didn't even have to name them all, and you've basically done that. You only have one
I'm
left,
trying to remember
and
the
you
last one.
verbatim.
What was the last one now? I'm forgetting. I'm blanking on the last one.
The Great Fairy Rescue.
Uh, of course. I said that was one of my favorites. Come on.
So this started in 2008 with Tinkerbell, 2009 with The Lost Treasure, 2010 with Great Fairy Rescue. Secret of the Wings was 2012, Pirate Fairy was 2014, and The Legend of the Never Beast, as we mentioned before, was what shut this studio down
Yeah,
in
man.
2015. But there was a short called the Pixie Hollow, Pixie Hollow Bake Off, and then there was a
Oh,
TV special called the Pixie Hollow Games.
okay.
So a lot of Pixie
Sounds
Hollow
good.
stuff. I was quizzing my wife, and she was like, she had no idea, but she was sitting next to me, and she saw it on my screen, and she just started reading them off. And I said, Stephanie's going to know these. I was like, Stephanie's going to know the answer to these. So, all right. So the next one should be really easy for you as well. Simple, but it's worth bringing up, I feel like.
Okay.
Tinkerbell, one word or two?
Um, I feel like I want to say it's supposed to be one word in the book. Are we asking about the book or just in general?
I'm asking. I'll
The
say
original.
specifically about the book.
Okay. I feel like it's supposed to be one. Oh no.
It's two.
Oh, poo.
And it's consistently too. That's the thing, is
Okay.
like even on this, which you can't really tell, there's no space, but Tinker and Bell are both
Capital.
capitalized.
That's true.
And so honestly, I had to look it up because when I
Ah,
created this YouTube video and I did the title, I was like, wait a minute, am I right here?
gotta get it
And I
right.
looked it up. So which actually, kind of works with their theory of the two different names, the Tinker and Bell. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah. Here's another easy one, and I do think this one's easy because it's a moment. It's a moment. It's a moment, and you'll know it.
Okay.
Tink. By the way, they call her Tink a lot. I had to look a lot through this book
Mhm.
to find Tinker and Bell because they call her Tink a
Oh.
lot. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, let me just. You're making me read. This
Never
is
good.
ridiculous. Yeah. So there's a moment where Tink rebuilds this music box. She's going to take it back, and the irony that it belongs to, Wendy Darling is just ridiculous. But okay.
Yes.
So she takes it back, and Wendy has a key, and she plays it. What song does it play?
It is. It's a song from the original movie, isn't it?
What song, Stephanie?
I mean, Happy Little Thought. What's the name of it? Happy Little Thought or something. What is it? Think of a Wonderful Thought.
It's called You Can Fly?
Oh, You Can Fly. Oh, I was thinking it
Yeah.
was the.
It was you that that's part of it. If you would think of a wonderful thing, if you go through it, that's the same song. That's why, like,
Yes. Oh no, I thought it was that beginning of that song. I thought it was that part of the song.
yeah. But the song is You Can Fly. But looking that up there, it was like the song was called You Can Fly, but it says also known as You Can Fly, You Can Fly, You Can Fly. Are people calling it You Can Fly, You Can Fly, You Can Fly?
I
Is that
don't
a
know.
thing?
Sounds redundant.
There is this beautiful flower that ushers in the next season, a very specific season.
Oh,
What's the name of that
yes.
flower?
Oh, why didn't I commit that to memory? I don't know. It's like something like moonflower or something. What is it?
Wow. This is the moment, folks, when Stephanie just gave up. This is it. This is the moment right here when she was just like, I don't freaking know. I was trying to lead you down the path that it may be something called spring, but it's not. So it's called the Everblossom.
Everblossom. Okay.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Everblossom. Yeah. Okay. So this would be the last one because I usually promise to only do 5. So this would
Okay.
be the last one. And I have like 4 others listed here, so I'm going to try to be strategic here
Mercy.
in doing this.
Yes.
When Tink finds the lost things on the beach, there are a bunch laying there. What's the first one that she grabs?
Oh dear. Okay. I remember her picking up a coin of, is it Queen Elizabeth's face on it?
That is funny when
So
she does that.
she kind of looks at it. But it might not be the first one. What is the first thing she sees? Is it a screw?
She may see that first, but I was saying, what's the first thing she picks up?
Oh, well, if not that, then I would go with a spring.
It is a bell, which again, like we talked about, like being
Oh,
on the nose, it's a jingle bell, like, and she kind of shakes
okay.
it. That's the first thing that she picks up is the jingle bell. So Ronald said a thimble. So like
No, that would have been good too.
Fire Chief said, it's tough tonight, Ronald. Well, what was Fire Chief? What was her total? You can total all
Two.
that up.
No, or maybe
It might have
one
been
and a
2.
half.
Yeah, well, we could see 1 for 5 is what he says. So Tinkerbell as a word. Anyway, let me throw at you the ones I was going to ask, but I thought were too hard. Vidya,
Okay.
who is the villain
Hmm.
sort of this, she's the mean girl of
Yeah.
this. The girl who voiced, or the woman who voiced Vidya, is Pamela Adlon, and she
Okay.
voices somebody in the King of the Hill cartoon TV show that has just come back. She is still the voice of that character. Do you know the character she was voiced? Which has nothing to do with Tinkerbell, but
I mean, I'd have to guess Peggy Hill.
Bobby.
No way!
Yep, yep, yep.
That's funny.
So she is the voice of Bobby Hill, but Peggy Hill is Kathy Najimy, which she's also in this
No!
movie. So right, that's a cool thing. I thought that was kind of neat. But yeah,
That is
and then the
funny.
other thing I was going to ask you is how many talents did she have to choose from when she had all of them around her? How many did she have to choose from? Would you
Ooh.
know that?
So it's okay. So it's the animal, the flower, the you know s- whatever flower fairy. Um, the silver mist is the water fairy. The light tinker. The fast fly is. I think she was going for that fast flying fairy. And there was winter. So there was at least seven. Was there an eighth one?
There were 10.
There were 10.
So
Wow.
Tinker, Water, Garden, Light, Fast Flying, which is so
Uh-huh.
random. Like it should have been
That's
Wind,
the
I feel
wind.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because all the rest of them are talking about the thing they're doing, except for Fast
Hmm.
Flying. Animal, Winter, art, which is a
Oh,
sub-talent apparently, which is represented by a paintbrush.
they
The
paint
dust
in it,
keeper,
yeah.
the dust keeper is his
Okay.
own thing, so that's Terrence.
Sure.
And then
Okay.
grass weaving, which again is a sub-talent
Oh,
apparently, represented by a
know that.
leaf. So it
Okay.
seems like to me though that the only ones that don't get to go are the dust keeper and the tinkers. Everybody
Yep.
else kind of by default gets to go.
Yep.
And they call them, the rest of them, nature talents, which was another thing I was going to throw in there as a question, and decided at the last minute not to. Anyway, thank you for playing along. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for playing in the chat. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you guys. This movie again, most of it is about her fighting that thing to be a tinker, and then she creates or puts that puzzle together, that's to her a puzzle. She puts together the music box, and everybody's like, "This is the thing you should be," and she's like, "I don't want to be this. That's bad." And then she messes up everything, and then she realizes that the thing that she does best she can use to save herself. Now,
Yep.
spring is like a day away, and they've been working on it, she says, for months, and then it will take
Yeah.
months to get back to it. And in seemingly a day, because she's made paint makers and something else, they're able to save spring. So moving forward, do they now have like months off? Like now that she's invented all of these things, like are the fairies just getting fat and lazy out there because they don't actually have anything to do, or are they up in their game? Are they adding new things to their repertoire? AI helps us do our
Yeah.
jobs, do more
Yeah.
stuff.
That's true. Yeah, if they don't have a purpose, are they just going to be, well, maybe they're playing their fairy tricks. That's how she has so much time to hang out with Peter. There you go.
Their fairy tricks. One of the other things that I found interesting, and I don't know how far you delved into it, but I do love when Disney Plus will throw the extras onto Disney Plus, and they threw on two things. One is a Tinkerbell trailer, and one of them is called Ever Wonder, which Ever Wonder is kind of weird. It's like a 5-minute real life video, like kids playing, walking, and then the fairies flying around and doing their fairy thing while they're doing that. And it
Okay.
makes, like, I don't know who decided to invest the money in it. Was part of the 50 million that they did to make this little featurette? I don't know. But this DVD, which is again from 2008, has a bunch more special features on it, including an all-new music video from Disney Channel's Selena Gomez. Now,
Oh,
here's what I find interesting about that. Did you see the music video?
no.
Okay. So what I find interesting about it is that 2007 was the start of Wizards of Waverly Place. And
Okay.
so there's Selena in
There
her,
she is.
in her music video. So this was the year basically after Wizards started. So I think they already knew she was a talent for singing, and they had her sing the song from this. The other person who sang in this was Lorena McKennett, who is a Canadian New Age performer, and she wrote a bunch of the music and then also was the narrator,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
including singing a lot of the stuff that sounded Scottish. Now, she's a Canadian singing a Scottish song in a
Right.
I don't
American
know.
movie.
I lost track. I lost track a long time ago. But I do think it's unfortunate that there are other things. Ever Wonder is actually on this, by the way. That 5-minute promo. But there's also a Magical Guide to Pixie Hollow, and that there's a couple other things on there. But that's not even, Stephanie. That's not even the thing I wanted to point out. The thing I wanted to point out is there's also a trailer, which there's very rarely a trailer. Have you noticed that? Usually it's a promotional video.
Yes.
And the promotional video is usually just 2 minutes of the movie that they randomly
Right.
picked. And it's not, I always want those old school narrators. It's like,
Yes.
you won't believe
In
a
a
car can
world.
fly. It's
Yeah.
flubber. Like I want that. I want that to be the thing. But the video, or this trailer, some of it is actually looks hand drawn.
Huh.
Like that's not in the movie.
No.
right? And so it looks a little bit hand drawn. There's a couple of scenes that look like they're from it, but it's almost like, hey, we've got to rush to get this trailer out for something in particular.
Ah,
And this never happens. This is
right.
Wendy, I think, hanging out. And so that never happens, right? And so that's in the trailer. So I feel like we were about to get a completely different movie.
Mm.
This is how the lightning bugs get their light. I mean, which is completely different from what we saw with the movie. Iridessa's outfit is completely different. She's got like a halter top situation going on, and then there's some kind of a weird library.
Oh, okay. So they do reference the library in other films, but it's not in this one.
Okay, but weird, right? Like this is the
Yeah.
trailer for Tinkerbell,
Yeah,
and
it
the
looks
one
like
that
there's a
they
completely different film.
yeah, exactly, right. And I'm like, I want
Yeah.
to kind of see that movie, like yeah. So this is her outfit here. Like I
Oh,
don't know what
yeah.
is that. What
Oh,
is that? That's not
that's a that's a crop top.
a crop
That's a
top.
little more revealing.
A crop top. Okay. Well, and in this one, that was the thing I was actually considering about asking you the question is she had some kind of like a sunflower seed on there
Hmm.
for no
Yep.
particular reason, I guess, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was interesting how different the trailer was from
Hmm.
the movie.
Yeah, that is
Um,
odd.
so Tink creates these inventions and she helps them get spring in like, and then all of a sudden they all forgive her for messing up months worth of work, which she didn't really do on her own because Vidya kind of like
Tricked
tricked
her.
her into doing it. And then she kind of outs herself at the end when she's like getting all mad about it. And she like admits that that's what she had done. And then she gets to go to the mainland and she gets to drop this off with Wendy. Now, did we need her to meet Wendy? Again, one of the biggest sticking points for me in Star Wars history is why did Anakin need to be the guy that built C3PO in this vast universe?
Right. Right.
And so why did she need to meet?
No, if they had asked me, I would have said it should have been Mrs. Darling. Because Mrs. Darling is the one that tells the kids all the stories about Peter Pan and, gets Wendy interested and then she continues that tradition. So I think it would have been better had it been her as a child. And then, you know, I don't know how you would have known that though, because that wouldn't have been her married name. It would have been another name, but that would have been cool.
Yeah. Well, again, it was interesting that she has this music box, and of all the kids in all the world that she finds, and maybe that's why she lured. Well, I mean, in the movie, Peter wants to go there because she tells such excellent stories, and therefore
Yes.
that's why he's lured there, and not necessarily. And then Tinkerbell doesn't seem to like Wendy, which is weird
No,
because she's
she tries
feels
to
like
kill her.
right. And in this one. Okay, doesn't like
I
her,
mean,
tries to kill her. I mean, what's the difference?
she
It's the
does.
same.
Yeah.
So in this one, she meets her. You would think she likes her. Maybe they've
Hmm.
had some falling out in between. I don't know. It seems a little bit weird, but I just thought that was something didn't need to happen. But
Yeah.
when she puts the key in and turns it, and it's "You Can Fly," I was like, oh man, that's a moment to me. Like that's where you tied
Oh.
it all back in, and I feel,
Hmm.
yeah, I know. And a grown man sitting on his couch watching this 2008 Tinkerbell movie. That's where it happened. So, so we've talked about the music and the animation and the casting and the entire fact that Tinkerbell has now used her own version of AI to make this colony so efficient that they don't need half the staff and they're going to be let go.
Yes.
Um, right. Let's before we get to final thoughts on this, let's talk about like how they've incorporated not just Tinkerbell in the parks, because we know
Yeah.
that Tinkerbell has been a big thing, but more of how introduced like Tinkerbell from this lore into the parks. And I think
Mm.
they were about to do that in the Magic Kingdom back in the day when they were about to redo Fantasyland.
New
One of the
Fantasyland.
thing
Right.
New Fantasyland. One of the things they were going to do was they were going to have a Pixie Hollow sort of situation, and
Yes.
it was beautiful. It was vague. It was almost as vague as Cherry Tree Lane that Bob Chapek showed us.
Oh,
But
never
like
name.
But yeah, but I mean, this looks amazing. I want this. Like,
Yeah.
this looks like Pandora, but
Hmm.
Pixies. This looks
Yes.
big and vast and amazing. And I think there was like maybe some kind of a teacup ride they were going to do in it,
Mm.
and that kind of a thing. And I thought like that looked beautiful. But again, that was the original plan when they were going to do two more meet and greets for Aurora, just like Belle, for Aurora and
Hmm.
Cinderella, and then do Pixie Hollow. They changed it to Storybook Circus, and then
Right.
added the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which I think we can all agree was a good idea to add the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So this still is existing on a pad of paper somewhere, and can still be a thing that they can build. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I feel like at some point there are very few projects that get canceled that I don't wish could still happen. And this was one of
Yeah.
them that I wish could still happen, but I'm glad of what we have. I just feel like this is a thing. Now, the other thing is that at Disneyland, they have a Pixie Hollow, which is, have you been into it?
Oh, every time I've been, it's been closed for refurbishment. So I for sure was wanting to go this last time because I have, again, a 2-year old and she would love to see Tinkerbell. Now, we've met Tink in the main Town Square Theater where Meet Mickey is, but it was across from Meet Mickey. And it was just more like a set. You know, it wasn't like the full experience of the Pixie Hollow like it is at Disneyland. At Disney World, it was just that set in that room. So that I think loses some magic whenever you go, oh, you're shrinking down to the size of a pixie to meet Tinkerbell or what have
Mm-hmm.
you. And then you're kind of like, oh, well, it's just a room and it has a giant lock or something to make me feel small. But when you go there in Disneyland, I'd imagine that you're actually walking through the the foliage and it's more, yes, you meet her in front of her teapot house. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. And the great thing is that it's out of the way, sort of. So like,
Yes,
if
it's
you know
hidden.
where it is, then that's great, and you get to go and walk through. And like you said, you sort of shrink as you go through it, and then you
Hmm.
get back and you meet Tinkerbell. And it used to be, as we showed there, her fairy friends. But it's really kind of brilliant the way that is. I think this is where like the Monsanto House of Tomorrow may have lived back in the day. I don't know. That
Ah.
predates me. Believe it or not, that predates me from Disneyland and etc. So I do think that's cool. At Epcot, they've done things like the Tinkerbell Fairy Garden that they do over by
Hmm.
the
That's
UK
right.
for like flower and garden, and I think that there
Hmm.
was a tie-in maybe with the Butterfly House once upon a time, that way. And I know that after we went one time, my daughter and my wife wanted to make little fairy houses around the
Oh.
house or around the backyard because of the Tinkerbell thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's definitely a thing. Now, Fantasy Springs in
Hmm.
Tokyo
Does
has
it
a
right.
Tinkerbell ride that is outdoors that takes you through the seasons. So again, feels like it's very much this. It's very
Yes.
much this property.
Hmm.
Whereas again, I think when we see Tink in the Magic Kingdom, or if we see in Paint the Night or that kind of, although Paint the Night, the other fairies are in the parade too, like Silver Mist is in it and all that. So,
Right.
again, I think they lean into that. And then when you go to the World of Disney, and I think it's still
Hmm.
there, but the World of Disney shop at Downtown Disney in Disneyland, the lanterns have the fairies around the lanterns, like the Silver Mist
Ah. Yes.
and the rest of the crew there. So I really feel like they bought all in to the fairy thing, and I mean they did 6 movies and a short and a TV special in, what did we say, like 7 years. So
Yeah.
anything else that was done in that time, they probably got somebody pull them aside and said, "Wait, did you put fairies in this yet? You probably need to put fairies in that." Is there anything that we could? Do you think it needs more representation? Because like we've talked about in the past, some things don't have any, some things have too much. I feel
Hmm.
like this has the right amount.
Hmm. I would like to see a meet and greet, if not just with Tinkerbell, because they've closed it since when, a couple of years ago, since Tinkerbell closed in Magic Kingdom. So I feel like we do need to see more like in that realm, like a meet and greet with her at least, if not her and her friends. That would be fantastic. And I would love it to be more of the outdoor experience like it is over at Disneyland. But yes, I think she, in really most people's minds, she's more of a mascot. She's more of the Walt Disney mascot, like Mickey Mouse is a mascot. I mean, yes, he's, this iconic character, but she is that as well. She's more of that, fireworks, Tinkerbell flying mascot. And that's what people tend to think of her as. Less than this, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. But again, I think they've done a good job of incorporating this part as well as the mascot part, like the fairies, her fairy friends, the lore of Pixie Hollow. So here's the Tokyo Disney Resort. Here's the attraction that they have there. And again, it's very much in line with what we saw in this movie, with the tinkers putting things together, and the seasons, and the fact that the whole thing is outdoors, and it just looks pretty amazing to me.
It's
Almost,
cute.
yeah, very cute the way that it's put together. So, looking forward to seeing that in person someday. That would be great. Okay. So before we get to our final thoughts on this, I want to thank everybody who's been in the chat here tonight. You guys have been great. Fire Chief, I think Care Bear went to bed. I saw TSN 6899. Ronald was there. I'm looking to see if there was anybody else. Alicia joined us in there. And if I missed you, I apologize. But thank you guys for being with us live on our shows. We've got this Friday night, I'm going to drop a show about kind of a recap about my thoughts on the Disneyland 70th. So look for that 8:30 in our Friday night TGIF lineup. 8:30 p.m. We'll drop that. And then on Sunday night, we will have our Park Adventurers Club. That's our big park meeting that we do every Sunday night. We hope you'll join us at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for that one live. And then next Wednesday night, for a look on the plus side, we're going to be doing the original Iron Man movie. But don't forget that you can go and see Stephanie's show Castaways. The last one that she did with Ron Deanna, our own Ron Deanna, was a pretty good one. And that was your third one?
Yeah. Third
Okay.
episode.
And then, of course, Shannon also has her own show, The Happiest Days, and you can check that out. And a big shout out to our pack. We love the Park Adventurers Club. Thank you guys so much for being part of our community. If you want to learn more, you can go to patreon.com/GoPack. And here's a look at our Zebra, Mezzanine, and Treasure Room members. Thank you guys for being part of supporting this channel. We appreciate you. We've got a lot of other things that we're planning on doing, and we hope that you're enjoying the consistent programming at parkadventurersclub.com. Now is the time. Now is the best time, Stephanie, because I get to ask you if your best friends and at work were asking you, hey, you know what? I'm popping up Disney Plus this weekend. I'm going to be looking for something to watch. There's so many different opportunities on there. The big question I have for you is, would you recommend this movie?
I would recommend it if you're watching it with your toddler or your nieces or your grandchildren.
Wow.
It's like I said before, I don't think it's a terrible movie. I don't think that it's the best one. I think that they're introducing the characters, they're introducing their personalities and how they interact with each other, but that can get flushed. Those interactions and relationships get more flushed out in the subsequent movies. So pick up Great Fairy Rescue, pick up the Pirate Fairy. The Pirate Fairy is actually very good. And it maybe that'll be our next review or something, but I think this one's mid. I do. I think it's kind
Wow.
of give it or take. And so it's a decent representation of her, I think, because how she's so animated and has such a personality that comes through even just with pantomime in the original 1953 Disney classic. In this one, obviously she can talk, but she does still get angry, and she is overwhelmed and overcome with her emotions. Like the original, she turns red, but they don't really explain that. They just kind of, it happens. She gets mad at Vidya, who's more of like a frenemy, and so she flushes and turns red with that. So you do still get some of that. But I was reading or listening to one person talking about the original, and she said that it was because that Tink is so tiny that she can't hold more than one emotion at any given time. So that's why when she's angry, she's just all angry. When she's envious, she's all envy. So, but that, I think there's more nuance to her in these films. So it's a good watch if you're not watching anything else.
Well, I definitely feel targeted when you said you should watch this if you have small children or grandchildren. I have neither, so thank you for that. What's wrong with a grown man sitting on his couch watching the Tinkerbell movie? Just because it's available on Disney Plus. I'm glad that we revisited this one. Like I said, it's a big deal as far as like IP that's on Disney Plus, IP that's in the park. I feel like it has enough of a base that it needs to be addressed in some way. Maybe we don't need to do all 6 movies, but maybe we pick out your favorites and we can talk about them. And again, I will watch them without shame. But I do think it's a good movie, and I do think it's one of those that it tells a unique story that if you know the Peter Pan story, this tells you something different. It doesn't necessarily line up with Peter Pan, like it doesn't like kind of like Rogue One. It doesn't go right into Peter Pan. It just tells the stories, the backstories, the history, and just it's a neat origin story. And I think the question would be like, is this a good kickoff to this series? And I think it is. I think it opens so many opportunities. They must have known when they were making this, hey, we want to make a bunch more. Let's make sure we leave this open-ended by creating several different types of fairies and what they do. And, and then to do, like you said, like the Pirate Fairy is probably my favorite. If I'm allowed to have a favorite, Stephanie, I would say the
I'm with you.
Pirate Fairy is probably my favorite. Secret of the Wings, I like the premise. I have questions about, but otherwise,
Sure.
I do like that that this is a thing, and that it brought Tinkerbell to another generation, and
Yes.
she's not just a sidekick; she's the star. So I like it,
And
but
one
let us
thing
know in the comments what you think and which one's your favorite. What were you going to say before we go?
I was just going to say before we go, one thing about the movies is that they take you through the different seasons. We didn't mention that, but this one's about, moving from winter into spring. There's one, The Lost Treasure is about the fall, and then, The Secret of the Wings is about the winter. So it takes you through all of these the 4 different seasons, which I think is a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, but there's 6 movies. How do you attest that? I guess it's the Never Beast and
Never
Pirate
Beast is a
Fairy.
whole, yeah, that's a whole other thing. There's
Yeah, that's totally. By the way, that's totally the what was it called? The Never Beast, the Never Ending Story. It's totally the same
Yes,
character, right?
very
I don't know.
similar.
Yeah, it's very similar. And thank you so much for doing this, Stephanie. I appreciate it. Always love being able to break down these with you and get your honest take on it, which a lot of times includes setting me straight on these rules that I have for things. So, thanks for keeping me honest. Thank you guys again in the chat for being here. We appreciate you. Again, join us on many other adventures on Park Adventures Club. We are here all the time. Check us out, and we will see you next time.